Stardew Valley is weird, but not in the ways that you'd expect. Because no, I'm not talking about weird random mechanics that you'll find while fishing, farming, or flirting with your NPC of choice. Because I'm talking about the genuinely horrifying lore and secrets that is thinly veiled beneath your cute farming content. And while last time on the channel we talked about some of the most popular secrets, today we're drilling deeper into the iceberg. Because it's more than just the farmer and the human residents of Pelican Town that can be tormented. So let's begin with the fact that your animals can be murdered and traumatized. And no, this isn't about the butchering feature that was almost added to the game. We can talk about that another time. This is about the very real and very rare attacks that can happen on your farm. We all know that to buy or breed a new animal, there has to be an open space in a pre-existing coop or barn. And this is for good reason, because when night falls, your livestock need these spaces for shelter. But if for some reason their path is blocked and they don't quite make it in by the time you go to bed, you will hear this noise during the night. And come morning, one of your beloved farm animals will have vanished without a trace. And while there is no blood or physical evidence left behind, the reactions of your other animals are more than distressing enough. Because when you go check on them the next day as usual, the game will tell you that they seem stressed and paranoid and that something bad happened during the night. So yeah, not only is one of your herd now dead, but the rest of them are shell-shocked and going through the 5 stages of grief. Kent will send you bombs and re-traumatize himself in the process. The mailbox in Stardew is a super handy part of your farm. It lets you receive sweet or endearing gifts from the townsfolk, access new crafting recipes, and hey, sometimes you're straight up just sent money. But if you happen to receive mail from Kent, please proceed with caution, because 3 out of the 4 possible items you can receive from him are different variations of bombs. And as weird and mildly threatening as that is, it actually gets a lot worse once we delve into Kent's character. You see, Kent is the husband of Jody and father of Sam and Vincent, who all reside in One Willow Lane. But he's actually missing from your first year in Pelican Town, only appearing back on the first day of spring in year 2. The reason for his absence? He was fighting a war, and from all accounts it seems pretty harrowing. There are multiple references throughout the game to Kent's likely PTSD, none more apparent than in his own 3 Heart event, where he is really shaken up by the sound of Jody making popcorn, triggering his fight or flight and causing him to lash out. The cutscene really catches the player off guard and adds a whole lot of depth to not only Ken, but his whole family's story. Which is really strange when juxtaposed to the fact that he is happily handling and mailing you bombs. Not only that, but the attached letter says that it was collecting dust in his tool shed, and I have a lot of questions. Is that legal? Was he just assuming it wouldn't explode in the delivery process? And how does he have the mental fortitude to send you a bomb, with a considerate letter mind you, after all that he's been through? And don't get me started on the fact that one of his liked gifts is the Dwarvish Safety Manual, a book that once you read it lets you take 25% less damage from bombs, which is a lot to unpack. Okay, before we go any further, this video is kind of not really sponsored. If anything, it's sponsored by me. We have merch. This gorgeous design was crafted by Cherry Arts and comes in 3 different colorways for t-shirts, which all work amazingly with the negative space of the fabric. And for anyone that wants to stay cozy, there is a black sweatshirt as well. We also have these gorgeous tote bags with the same art, as well as these A4 sticker sheets, which have some extra designs on them as well. And I am currently rocking one on the back of my phone. I don't have memberships turned on for this channel or anything, so grabbing some merch is a really lovely way to support a little creator like me. And of course, you actually get like a real product in exchange as well. I won't talk your ear off, but the link will be in my description if you wanted to check out the range. Thank you so much, and back to the video. The townsfolk hate your produce and cooking. If you never dig below the surface, it appears that the farmers' presence in Pelican Town, and by extension their produce, is really appreciated by their neighbors. But that all changes once we involve Pierre in the supply chain. I know, shocker. Let me explain. You see, when you sell items in Stardew, most people will just use the shipping bin on their farm. It's convenient, you can buy some extra mini versions, and a lot of players don't initially realize that this isn't the only option. But you can actually sell some products to their related townsfolk, which is super handy if you find yourself stuck away from home with a full inventory. Like pawning off your minerals to Clint, fish to Willy, and produce and cooking to Pierre. Yes, Pierre. Everyone everyone's favorite dishonest husband and bad father. But if that wasn't enough to put you off the guy already, he will badmouth the products that you sell directly to him. You see, Stardew's agriculture system has a series of quality ranks from no star all the way up to iridium star. But let's face it, unless you're using the highest quality of fertilizer in all of your harvests, the majority of your crops will fall somewhere below a gold star ranking, which is completely normal and fine unless you're Pierre. Because any crop or meal that you sell directly to Pierre that isn't gold star or above, he will sell directly back to the town, but let them know that you are the reason that they suck. And this doesn't go down quietly. No. Villagers will stop you in the street telling you that they had to throw your meal away, or that your item they picked up in the shop seemed like it was going bad. Well, at least they compliment you on your gold star goods. Well, no, they don't do that either, actually. And I'm not sure if that comes down to Pierre taking credit for your work, or the townsfolk thinking that even your best food is just average, but I'm willing to blame Pierre anyway. The valley low-key might be inbred. Okay, this might be my own little theory in here, but you gotta hear me out. Have you ever strolled through Pelican Town, maybe at an event where the whole town is gathered, and thought, wow, that's a lot of redheads? Well, yes, you'd be right, especially when compared to the 1 to 2% of red hair that occurs within the general population. Now, there's a lot of debate over which characters actually count as redheads. From my perspective at least, it's Leah, Elliot, Robin, Penny, Jody, Marnie, Sandy, and Vincent, which if you run some quick numbers, leaves Pelican Town's redhead population at a staggering around 23%. If you want to be pickier, and objectively wrong, and leave out Marnie and Jody, that still leaves around 18% of the population as gingers. Okay, what if Stardew Valley is just based in, like, Scotland? Well, let me introduce you to my second point. Oligodactyly. Maddie, what on earth is oligodactyly, you might be thinking? Well, it is a condition, a genetic condition, which is characterized by less than 5 digits on your hands or feet. And if you look very closely at the two specific sprites of Clint holding up Joja Cola and Alex holding up his football, you will see that both of them are missing a finger. And before you say it, no, this is not a stylistic choice, because there are multiple instances of other characters being shown with all 5 fingers. I just wish one of those guys was a ginger as well, because it would be the perfect slam dunk on my case. Anyway, if we're addressing the elephant in the room, I personally wouldn't be that shocked if incestuous relationships were normalized in the valley, because you gotta remember that Lewis was completely chill marrying the farmer off to their sibling in co-op mode. An NPC can murder you through bombing. Wow, we're on to our second fact about bombs in this video. I'm just glad this one isn't about Kent again. Anyway, yeah, you can be blown up by a different guy in Stardew. And this guy is the bouncer that's found protecting the casino in the back of Sandy's shop. And if you didn't know that Stardew had thinly veiled casinos and gambling circles, surprise! Could be worse, could be crypto. Maybe that's what Mr. Key's really farming on his computer in the walnut room. Anyway, to access this casino, you have to run around doing a bunch of tasks for Mr. Key. Putting a battery pack in the bus tunnel, leaving a rainbow shell at the train platform, putting beets in Mayor Lewis's fridge, and feeding the skeleton dragon a solar essence. Once you've completed all of these, congrats, you get a club card allowing you access to Mr. Key's casino. But if you think that all sounds a little bit tedious, well, so did other players, and they actually found a way around this system. Because if you actually stand in a very specific spot in Sandy's store and swing your sword, you can clip out of bounds, walking straight past the bouncer and into the casino. Now, when most developers hear about a bug they've accidentally left in the game getting exploited by the community, they'll just patch it. Concerned Ape, however, hates us, or loves us, I'm actually not sure. You see, he decided to leave the glitch in. And yes, while you can still phase out of bounds, attempting to walk past the bouncer and into the casino will lead him to respond by dropping a bomb on you and cussing you out. And no, this is not just your average bomb, this is a mega bomb, the most powerful one in the game. So it's safe to say the bouncer had some mega feelings about that. Grandpa knew he was dying and planned to haunt you. Yeah, Grandpa is strange, and not in the regular sense of the word. No, I mean in the supernatural ghost kind of way. Him essentially haunting the player is actually a huge part of the story too, especially with his evaluation on the first day of year 3. But if you haven't made it that far in the game yet, I'll give you a quick rundown. While you as the player can see the farmer's progress in things like gold earned, friendships made, and skill points, there's actually another invisible point system which the game will count throughout your first 2 years in the valley. And you can accrue these points by essentially just making the most of your time in Stardew. You get them from building relationships, finishing collections, completing the community center, and a bunch more other little things. What are these seemingly random points for though? Well, here's where we come back to Grandpa. Because when you're first exploring your farm, you might notice a mysterious object in the top left corner. This is Grandpa's shrine, and it ties into the evaluation. Because on the first day of year 3, the number of points you've collected will directly correlate with the way your ghostly grandpa rates your farm on a scale of 1 through 4 lit candles. Here's the thing though, none of this would be possible without the shrine itself. The shrine that was already present when you moved in. Which leads your mind to wonder, was Grandpa actually the one to build this shrine to himself? Did he know that he was in his final days and used the rest of his strength to build this altar so that he could watch over you? Some even theorize that he actually died while sitting at or even completing the shrine, and that's why he seems so bound to it. Which is kind of beautiful and kind of really creepy. Some of the quests you get as the farmer are downright boundary breaking. As a true Stardew player, I'm really passionate about accepting quests from villagers and literally never doing them. Yeah, I think Willie's been waiting on that link card for like over 2 years now. But there are some quests that just really catch your eye, in a bad way. Starting pretty tame, we get some mildly off-putting requests like Jody needing a pike to rub on her ear. But things start to get really concerning when Haley puts up her girls only quests, where she's been seen asking for super cucumbers, eggplants, iron bars, and more. And apparently, we know what it's for. And yeah, while Haley's requests can be a bit weird, you don't actually have to accept them. But the same cannot be said for Lewis, who will shamelessly drop a letter in the farmer's mailbox, which results in an unavoidable quest to get this old man some truffle oil. The combination of him telling you not to ask why when he initially requests it, and then complimenting its slickness once you hand it over is really just day-ruining stuff. So Haley, I'd rather get you some random fish any day. There is an ominous language of the Skull Caverns, and it turns out the creatures living there are begging for death. When any of us are in the Skull Cavern, at least in the early game, there is no way any of us are stopping to check the design intricacies of each level of the mine, because you're just trying to survive. Unless you have the elevator mod installed like I do, and Mr. Key doesn't need to know. Anyway, if you do take the time to take in your surroundings, you'll find that some of these levels have specific inscriptions on the walls. And there are 2 versions of these. The one found on your regular Skull Caverns floor, and the one found on the tomb levels, where enemies like mummies spawn, for example. And while these inscriptions may initially just look like a bunch of darkened pixels, they're actually a completely transcribable language, which is super impressive considering that this is the second Stardew exclusive language alongside that of the Junimos. Anyway, the masses of Reddit soon caught onto this and set their sights on deciphering these plaques. And say what you want about Reddit, okay, but the amount of teamwork and community between the people figuring this out was so impressive, and thanks to their efforts, the plaques from each level were successfully translated. And it turns out that one of them is really ominous, but the other is just kind of sad. The plaques on the standard levels simply read, "We are cursed, too much iridium." And there's still debate on what this one actually means. Some people think it has to do with the monsters that have iridium as a drop once they're slain, like iridium bats or purple slimes. But it might be hinting to a darker side of the mineral that we're not yet aware of. After all, Concerned Ape has stated that there's still a secret in the game that nobody has found. Or alternatively, this is just his take on late-stage capitalism. Anyway, the plaques on the tomb level take a darker turn, translating to, "Wizards sealed us in this prison until the day a hero puts us to rest." And this one is weird. The seal that they're talking about seems to reference the fact that you can't enter the Skull Caverns without first breaking the seal with the Skull Key. But the phrasing of "puts us to rest" implies that the monsters down there are suffering, or even might be living out their days in pain. And honestly, fair enough. I mean, if I was living in the Skull Caverns, I'd want to die too. And that is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. As much as I would love to keep making these creepy Stardew videos forever, I fear I would run out of content really quickly. So if you've made it this far, please let me know what else you'd want to see on the channel. I might do some like silly Stardew facts, or maybe even creepy facts from another game. Just let me know what you think. And as a YouTuber, it's obligatory for me to ask you to buy my merch and subscribe. So thanks.